I have been looking at the astrology of 3i Atlas, and I've been watching some videos from other astrologers, been doing my own research, and basically what I'm seeing is that this interstellar object has a very significant path. So we've already learned that the chances of it passing through our solar system in the way it is at a 5-degree angle from the ecliptic plane and passing so closely to Mars and then Venus and then Jupiter, primarily Mars and Jupiter, while at the same time being hidden behind the sun so that the Earth cannot view it during this entire pass through the inner solar system. It seems like it was deliberately planned that way. But that's not even what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the actual astrology. So if you take the date of 3i Atlas's perihelion, meaning the day that it's closest to the sun, this is going to happen on, I've seen October 29th or October 30th. I've heard both these dates. So somewhere in that 24-hour range, it's going to pass the sun most closely. It'll still be out. I think it's still like between the orbit of Mars and Venus, but it'll come within, I believe it's like 1.3 astronomical units, which is basically the distance from Earth to the sun. So it's going to be further from the sun than Earth is. But what I'm trying to say is that we've already learned about how anomalous this path is and how it was like almost designed. Avi Loeb is saying that there's a good chance that it could be alien spaceship or something like that, or probe. But what I want to talk about is more than just that. If you actually look at the placement of all of the planets in relation to Earth, so basically using the zodiac signs as like a coordinate system, and if you plot them in a circle of 360 degrees, you have 12 different segments that are each 30 degrees. 12 times 30 is 360. So we're basically just talking about a circle. And if you plot a dot on the map around this circle for each planet, that will give you your diagram and that you can interpret through astrology. Now, during the perihelion, when 3i Atlas is closest to the sun, there's going to be some significant astrology in play. First off, the biggest thing that is most obvious is there's a Grand Water Trine, which is 3 planets that are evenly spaced out 120 degrees apart from each other. So they basically, if you connect the dots between all 3, it forms an equilateral triangle. And if you know anything about horoscopes and the signs, there's 4 different elements. I am elements. I could go into the symbology of my channel's logo, but it's along those lines. You have earth, fire, air, and water. Now, all the air signs are spaced out 120 degrees apart. So when you have a grand trine, you have 3 planets that are all in water signs. And all the elements are spaced out this way. You have the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. There's the air signs, which are Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. The earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. And then the water signs, which are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And Pisces is considered to be the final sign. So the zodiac starts at Aries and then progresses to Taurus and so on, all the way around past Capricorn. So Capricorn in December is actually the 10th sign. Then Aquarius, then Pisces. Pisces is the 12th and final sign. And then it restarts at Aries. So essentially what this means is that Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are all going to be in water signs. So if we look at the first water sign, we'll start with Cancer because that is the cardinal sign. There's 4 cardinal signs that are in a cross. They form a cross. And there's 1 from each element. Cardinal signs are like the initiators, the beginning. And those are Aries is the very first one, and then Cancer, then Libra, and then Capricorn. Those are the 4 cardinal signs. So those are just significant for beginnings. But what's important about this is that the astrology is all pointing to Jupiter. Jupiter is this story here, actually, what everything is about. And I'll tell you exactly what that means later on. But I first want to explain how I came to that conclusion. So I have to start at perihelion. And it even starts before then. I can mention that, but Perihelion is like the biggest obvious thing that you can read, but we'll go into more. So perihelion, we have Jupiter at 24 degrees Cancer, so towards the very end of Cancer. Then you have Mars is going to be in Scorpio, so that's significant in itself, because Scorpio is Mars' ancient home, its home sign. And then you think about Mars as like the planet of fire, and then Scorpio is kind of like, you know, Halloween. It's like the underworld almost. It's probably the spookiest sign there is. So that's significant. So Mars being at 25 degrees of Scorpio. And then another thing about that is that Jupiter and Mars, those two signs, are the two planets that 3i Atlas approaches most closely. So like, if you're looking at everything, like you just think about all these facts together, it's like giving us a message. It's like, it's very obvious. It's saying, look, if you want to figure me out, this is what's happening on perihelion. And I'm in two of the planets that I'm passing are part of this big trine that's on that day, this Grand Water Trine. The final sign, well, there's actually two. And this is very significant too, because these are outer planets. So their transit around the zodiac takes a long period of time. Saturn is like 30 years just to go from Aries all the way around to Pisces in a circle. So it spends about like, I think it's like 2.5 to 3 years in each sign. And Saturn is at 25 degrees of Pisces. But there's also Neptune, which is even further out than Saturn. It's the blue planet. It's associated with like dreams and imagination and spirituality, that kind of stuff. That is also, it's at 29 degrees, the very end of Pisces on the perihelion. And you'll see later on that Saturn and Neptune move into Aries. So they're both like at the same time, and they're starting a reset at the opening degree, 0 degrees of Aries, which is the very first sign, the cardinal sign, starting a whole new cycle. So we're beginning a new grand cycle, because it's not just one of these planets. I think it's like 70 or 80 years. I don't know off the top of my head how long its transit is. So at a minimum, it's like this is likely to happen where they both line up like this. Like especially at the very 0 degree, like this has got to be at least thousands of years for that to happen again. Anyways, it's very rare. Saturn and Neptune both moving in Aries. That's going to be happening in February of 2026, which is going to be about a month before 3i Atlas makes its close approach to Jupiter. Jupiter is the very last encounter, so it's saying, look at Jupiter. It's pointing to Jupiter. It's starting us at Mars and then pointing to Jupiter. Both of these two planets are part of this grand trine, with the addition of Saturn and Neptune, which are completing a very long cycle. To me, this signifies we're starting a new age. So let's just say this is the age of Aquarius that we're talking about, and you can look up what that's all about. But what I think it means is we're having a spiritual awakening on this planet. People have been starting to wake up en masse over the last 13 years, I'd say. Since 2012, it's really when it started accelerating rapidly, and it just keeps accelerating every year. More and more people are starting to unplug from the matrix, so to speak. And I think this time frame with 3i Atlas is somehow going to culminate with this mass awakening in some way. Could be related to 3i Atlas itself, something it does that's unexpected, that somehow wakes people up either through this whole, alien spaceship narrative that's going on, or in the spiritual realms, people are talking about this being some sort of messenger or some sort of galactic intervention to assist Earth with its awakening and to potentially be eliminating the controllers of this matrix, basically firing all the management and starting it over is one way to look at it. But yeah, those are some of the things that are being discussed in terms of what's going to happen. But I think you just need to keep an open mind and pay attention. But things are most likely going to be rapidly changing within the next 6 months. And people will be waking up, questioning their reality. It's going to be hard for a lot of people that haven't really awakened yet, and they're going to need your support, people that are aware of these shifts and are not approaching it with fear, because when you're not aligned with Source, you're easily manipulated into fear. But if you're aligned with Source, you know that there is nothing to fear. So you have to help people that are in fear. You can't make fun of them. You can't punish them. You can't try to make them think that you're right or shame them for anything. We have to help people through this time, and many will need it, but just know that on the other side of this is something brand new. With that said, I want to talk about some other things that are happening in the perihelion. So we also have Mercury, which is it's either at the last degree of Scorpio or the first degree of Sagittarius, but it's going to be making an opposition to Uranus on the perihelion as well. So we have another outer planet, Uranus, involved with the most inner planet, Mercury, Mercury is the messenger. And then Uranus is associated with kind of like the unknown, the mysterious surprises. So there's going to be some sort of unknown surprise communicated, a message being delivered, which is 3i Atlas. And so yeah, you have that. And then I think that's the only other thing I really want to talk about other than Mars being in Scorpio, which I think I mentioned. Now where it really gets interesting is how 3i Atlas moves. Next, it passes Venus on November 3rd. So this is only like 5 days after Perihelion, 4 or 5 days. And this is technically the closest point it gets to Venus, I guess, but it's already past the sun. It's on its way out. But here, Mars is in the same position Mercury was. So now Mars opposes Uranus. And then you've got the sun and Venus trailing behind. And what's going to be happening is that this Grand Trine is going to persist for like 2 months. It's going to start right before, like a week before the Perihelion, maybe even a couple of days before that. So like mid-October, this Grand Trine is going to first activate because it's the outer degrees of it, but then it's really like almost exact. It is exact on Perihelion. Like that's the moment that it's the strongest. And then it's going to persist though through early December because you've got the sun coming around, Venus coming around, and then not only that, Mercury retrogrades. And Mercury goes back to like the 20th degree of Scorpio. So it passes it and then comes back, and it's slow. So this Grand Trine just persists for 2 months straight. So all the way to mid-December. And then that's pretty wild that in itself, that this water trine is going to be lasting for a while. So that's when things could get emotional, but it could be also very good things and bad things that you could associate with water. I view it as highly intuitive time, psychic almost. People will be activating new gifts at this time, being unlocked almost, washed clean, baptized. Consider this the moment of baptism, where we're being washed of our sins, we're being cleaned, we're being freed. Something new starting. We've been just this homeless person, lost, trying to survive, and some beautiful soul is going to come and pick us up and clean us and give us a haircut and dress us with nice clothes and feed us and say, hey, this is how you're supposed to live, and this is what's real, this is the truth. And yeah, it's going to be wild. But on top of that, we're going to go into the next phase, which is 2026. So I know there's some interesting geometry at play in early January. I'm not going to go into that. Stefan Byrne talks about it on one of his videos. I don't remember which one. But in February, this is where things get really interesting. So we're about a month out from 3i Atlas approaching Jupiter. I think it's on March 16th, I believe. So Jupiter, what's going on with Jupiter is that, so it is retrograded backwards from its 25 degree when it was at Perihelion. So it was approaching the end of Cancer, but then it hit retrograde at some point and goes backwards throughout 3i Atlas's approach to it. So it's almost like it's getting pulled in towards 3i Atlas. It's going backwards in the sky. And it goes all the way back to 15 degrees, and then it stops at 15 degrees, the very dead center of Cancer. That in itself is pretty significant, but then that's actually Jupiter's exaltation point. So each planet has an exaltation point, which is an exact degree in one of the signs. And for some reason that like amplifies that planet like tremendously at that exact point. Something about that degree, I don't understand it. Apparently a lot of astrologers don't even use this anymore, but it's something ancient. And something ancient is saying that Jupiter is exalted at 15 degrees of Cancer. That's its exact point on the 360 degree wheel. 1 in 360 chance, and that's the exact degree that it's at when 3i approaches. And not only that, but it's retrograded to that exact point. So when retrogrades end, the planet really it hits the brakes, so it's slowing down and goes slower and slower and slower, and then it's like pauses for a couple days, and then it kind of slowly picks up because it's it's kind of like tangential to us at its orbit. So it's there for over a month. Jupiter is at 15 degrees when Saturn and Neptune both enter Aries and conjoin at 0 degrees of Aries. There's a conjunction there. I think it's February 20th. Jupiter is sitting at 15 degrees when this happens. So this is starting a whole new age, like I explained earlier. And then 3i Atlas approaches and then passes Jupiter on March 16th, 2026. And it's still at 15 degrees. So just imagine, Jupiter is the great expander. It's the philosopher king. This is about knowledge and wisdom and just great benefit. And it's a very positive. Jupiter is a beautiful sign. It's the best planet you could have for making things improve and just making things abundant and beautiful. And it's sitting in the sign of Cancer at its exaltation point of all things. And Cancer is about like that ancestral knowledge and ancestral wisdom, things you inherit from your mother. Like it's the maternal nurturing aspect of life. It's the mother with a baby taking care of you, birthing you. So like, think about that. The significance of it, Jupiter being at this point, the very center. It's a rebirth. It's a literal rebirth. I mean, that's what the astrology is saying. And then 3i Atlas is also just shows up randomly and is saying the exact same thing. So, I mean, there's just too many things that are too perfect for this to not be a real message. I think we're going to remember who we are. I think humanity is going to remember its divine nature and be shown directly what that looks like in some sort of a flash or awakening. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think that's what is written in the stars and the planet. That's what they're saying. That's pretty much it for that story. Yeah, there's one other thing that I wanted to mention about 3i Atlas being veiled behind the sun during its entire transit through the inner solar system. So basically starting now, right at the beginning of October, 3i Atlas is really not visible from Earth because it's too close to the sun and it's too bright when they try to take photos of it. There's too much light interference and it's just too faint to be able to actually get photos from Earth. It will be veiled the entire transit up until sometime in like late November, mid to late November probably, or December even. I'm not sure the exact dates, but it'll be veiled for basically a month or two. We won't be able to see it from Earth. And, you know, we got the government shut down. We can't even see the pictures from Mars right now. So who knows if we'll ever see close-up photos of it. The point of that is that it's veiled behind the sun, and the meaning of that is significant. So if you were to look, if you're seeing this as a messenger, it doesn't want to be seen directly. So this is not something we're looking for seeing with our eyes. We need to feel it. Like it's telling us we need to feel it. Don't try to look at us. Don't try to see us. Just feel it, because whatever this thing is, there's a massive amount of energy behind it, and it has the capability of completely altering this cosmos. It could be implanting scalar waves, or it could be removing scalar waves, technologies that are manipulating our solar system. It could be unlocking things. I know there's been, on my channel even, I have a video about Saturn moon matrix. So some people believe that this might even be involved with freeing Saturn, releasing Saturn from its manipulation. Saturn is associated with keeping us trapped in karma loops, just going in a slow, repetitive pattern. So basically, it'll unlock that into a spiral time pattern. So things are infinitely expanding outward instead of trapped in a circular loop. So that's one thing that might be shifting with Saturn that could alter our experience of time. So it could almost like kind of wake us up from this like sleep, almost like in the Matrix. We might all just suddenly realize that we were sleeping and then wake up to a new reality. Could even be something like that, where we all just wake up simultaneously and then we're thrown into a completely new world that we didn't know before. For some, this could be good. For some, this could be bad. I think there could be elements of a split happening during this time period. If you think about like a cell dividing, we could be splitting into two different worlds, two different consciousnesses, one that is ready to escape from this karmic loop into a higher dimensional realm, a heavenly-like realm, and then others might not be ready karmically, or just for some reason they just stay behind, but they could get trapped into another false matrix like the one we're in now. But maybe just this continues and nothing happens, or they go to some other place. I don't know. These are all just theories. I don't even necessarily believe any of this. I'm just having a thought experiment. I think the important thing is that we should be trying to feel what's happening. We should try to connect to this and raise our vibration, raise our frequency. Based off of the trines, the Grand Water Trine, I think it's a very good sign. So I really expect this to be a very positive benefit to humanity, what's going to be occurring. I'm not worried about this or fearful in any way. It can only be good. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was 3i Atlas was discovered on July 1st or 21st. I can't actually remember the day. There's an astrologer, Dan, that runs World Astrology Report, and he just released a video 2 days ago, I think, on 3i Atlas. He did a live stream, and he mentioned there that if you take the chart for the time that it was discovered in the location, which was the Atlas observatory or something like that in, I think it's like South America or Chile. If you do that, it's a Gemini rising sign, or it's a Gemini rising chart. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I think it's something to do with like the North Node, or it's something to do with like the purpose of this object, why it's here, like its mission. And Gemini is the messenger, the communicator. That in itself just says that it's another thing that points to it being a messenger. So to summarize this entire video, basically we have already established that 3i Atlas is anomalous. Its flight, a lot of things don't like it, the way it's coming through our solar system, the degree, the close encounters with Mars and Jupiter, the speed, the color change, the missing tail, the tail in the front, like so many aspects of this thing are just anomalous, we've never seen before. But then what I did was I looked at the astrology of 3i Atlas by looking at what's happening on Perihelion, the day that it is closest to the sun, and also what's happening on the day that it approaches Mars and the day that it approaches Jupiter, and all the things in between during that transit. The main thing is that there's a Grand Water Trine between Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn during the Perihelion, and those are two of the three planets that 3i Atlas is passing on its journey, that it goes basically right by. 3i Atlas is pointing to those planets, and then it's really pointing at Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be at its exaltation point, which is exactly 15 degrees of Cancer, and it's going to be there for over a month, starting in mid-February through mid-March, and even after that it'll still be at 15 degrees. But it's basically right when 3i Atlas approaches is when it's like paused, stopped its retrograde, and just started to move forward, and that's right when 3i Atlas passes. So Jupiter is going to be exalted for over a month, an ancestral remembrance, in a water sign, a rebirth, Cancer, it's about home, safety, nurturing. We're going to have a reset of that, and it's going to be really expanding and knowledgeable and wise. And then also during that time, when Jupiter is sitting in 15 degrees, part of that is also going to be this Saturn and Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries on February 20th, 2026. And that in itself is extremely profound, something that hasn't even happened in anyone's lifetimes, anything that we remember in nearby history. This is a complete cosmic event, and it's going to change the world. It's written in the stars. Everything is pointing to this. So that's the summary of the astrology of 3i Atlas. Thank you.